Hello and welcome to my studio. In this video I'm going to show you how I made this picture. Top-down photography can be tricky to set up, but with good technique and attention to detail in the lighting can produce a very strong result. And in this video I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. Okay, so the first thing to do is think about the base. So this time it's going to be the floor. But I don't just want to use the floor, I'm going to use a piece of mount board. Now this has a colour on one side and is usually white on the other. So it's a very good source of getting a good saturated colour. So I'm just going to lay this on the floor just down here, like this. Okay, so the next thing would be the subject, and for the subject I'm using these tulips, just in a small glass vase here. So I'm just going to place this on the card in the middle here. So far, so good. There we go. Now the trickiest bit usually with top-down photography is how you mount the camera, because tripods aren't really meant for looking straight down. But you can use a fairly conventional tripod for this. You just need to modify the legs slightly. So this particular tripod has the ability to change the angle on the legs. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to pull this out to about there. Just extend the leg out, and I'll do the same on the other side. There we are. Now, it might look a little gangly, but this way I can rotate the top here to give me a platform to mount the camera looking straight down. So I'll just put this in position. So there we go. This is more or less in the right position now. I'll just rotate the head like this, just to get it at about 90 degrees. Something like that. Okay, so the next thing would be the camera. I'm using this medium format camera, just with an 80mm lens on it, which is roughly the equivalent of a 50mm lens on a full frame format. So we'll just mount this on the top of the tripod here. Just like that. There we are. Okay, so the next thing to do would be just to tether this into the computer here, which I'm running Capture One software on, so it's easy to follow the results as I get them. So there we are, that's all plugged in now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make use of live view. Having the camera in this position like this means that it's a little awkward just to look through the viewfinder and line everything up. So what I'm going to do is just start up live view on here. Like so. Okay, so the first thing I can see is that this is actually not in focus, so I can use the focus controls here just to bring that in a little better. There we go. It's getting close. I'll just zoom in. And we can precisely focus it without actually touching the camera at all. There we are. Something like that. I think that would probably do for now. Okay, so with that done, I can dispense with the live view. And before I set any light, I just want to make sure that I'm not getting any contamination from the house lights. So these are the settings that I have on the camera at the moment. So it's in full manual mode. I'm using shutter speed of 1/125th of a second. Now that's the flash sync speed for this particular camera. Yours will vary, but the idea is that you want to use the fastest flash sync speed that will synchronize with your flash. Okay, so I have a sensitivity of 100 ISO, and at the moment I've got an aperture of f8. Now that should do. It's about mid-range for this particular lens, and we'll see how we go for depth of field. So with those settings and no flash, I'll just grab an image. And there we are. You can see that we have no image there to speak of. So there's no contamination from the house lights. So any light that I now add will be the only light which affects the subject. Okay, so how am I going to light this? Well, I'm just going to use a single, fairly small flash head, and I'm just going to position that about here somewhere. I want to get it very close to the subject so that I can use the inverse square law to make the background go quite dark. Now there are a few tricks involved in this, but I'll go through those as we do them. Okay, so there we go. So this is the flash head, and I've just put it on this arm just to get it in something like the right position. So we'll just turn that on, and at an arbitrary energy level, I'll just grab an image and we'll see what we get. There we are. So at that energy level, that's not bad as a starting point. The quality of the light isn't brilliant, but it's a fairly good starting point. If I just zoom all the way in, we'll just have a little look and just see how good the focus is. And I think that's reasonable for the time being. Okay, so in order to improve the quality of the light, what I'm going to do is use this reflector, which has some barn doors on it, and I've stretched some 216 diffusion material over the front of that, just to give me a softer light. And I'm just going to place that on the front of the head here. Just being careful not to touch the flowers at all. There we are. And you should be able to see that this is remarkably close to the flowers themselves. We'll have to see if they actually end up in the picture. Okay, so with that in position, let's just give that another go. Okay, so the first thing to notice here is that the reflector has increased the efficiency of the system. So it's slightly overexposed. So I'd probably need to take a stop off that. The other thing to notice is that generally the image is a little high in the frame. I think I just need to adjust the camera. So I'll make those two adjustments and we'll grab another image. Good. So we can see now that with that adjustment to the exposure, this is starting to get there, and I've moved the whole thing down in the frame. This is what we had before, and this is what we've got now. The other thing to notice about this is that the other side here, the opposite side to where the light is a little dark and just needs filling in. So in order to do that, I'm just going to use a piece of card as a flag. So I've just got that just on this stand, and I'm just going to place this in here just to recycle some of the light. So we'll just pop this in here somewhere, like that. Again, I'm trying to get it as close as possible without it actually being in the picture. Something like that. And we'll just grab that again. Yes, that seems to have worked quite well. So it's just filled in these flowers at the bottom here. This is what we had before, and this is what we've got now. So that's all starting to get there. The other thing I'd like to do is just address this bit here, where the light from this is actually hitting the baseboard down the bottom here. So the easiest way to stop that would just be to put another piece of card, another flag, just at the bottom here. So there we are, that's all in position now. So this piece of card should just shade off the bottom there on the green card, just to make it a little bit darker. And it'll do a little bit of recycling. Okay, so let's just grab that and see what that looks like. Good, that's starting to make a bit of a dramatic change. You can see that we're actually starting to get a little flare in the top here, as this piece of card, which is this one here, is possibly not quite in the right position. So that will need adjusting. And just for good measure and just for safety, what I will do is use yet another piece of card just as a a flag at the top here, just to make sure that we don't get any stray light entering the lens. So I'll just place that on the top there like so, and we'll just adjust this bottom one, just bring it back slightly, and with those two in position, I'll just grab that again. That's much better. Okay, so we'll just have a little look around the image, just make sure that the focus point is still good, which I think it is. Yeah, that's all looking fine. Okay, so as far as capturing the image is concerned, that's it. It is a little tricky, but with a little bit of attention to detail, you can achieve a reasonable result. So it just remains to go into Photoshop and do the bare minimum of post-production. Okay, so here we are in Photoshop, and I've loaded up the file of the image that I captured earlier. So the first thing I want to do is just make a copy of this, and I find the easiest way to do that is just to right-click the layer and ask for a duplicate layer, but ask for a new document. And we'll just call that Tulip. Just click on OK. There we are. So Photoshop has made me a new file, Tulip, so I can dispense with the camera original. And this is what I will be editing. So very little to do to this, I think. What I might do is just have a look at a crop first. So we'll just use the crop tool. Now I have a ratio set here of 16:9. As I'm using this for video, that's the sort of ratio that I want to use. So the first thing I'm going to do is just rotate the whole thing a little, just to see what that looks like as a different composition. Maybe just tighten it up a little as well. There we go. Yes, I quite like that composition. Good, so I'll just click on OK. There we are. And I'll just zoom all the way in and we'll have a good look around the image. Now I think this is pretty good just as it is. I don't think I need to adjust any of the tones. Yeah, that's looking all right to me. Okay, so there we have it. So that's the image, more or less straight out of the camera. And it just goes to show that with the correct attention to detail and the right techniques, you can achieve something without actually using a great deal of post-production in Photoshop. Okay, well I hope you enjoyed watching how I made that image, and if you like watching these sort of things, do click on the other pictures as they appear, and don't forget to subscribe. Oh, and click the like button. Thank you very much for watching.